What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Luque MMA UFC Fight Night Brunson vs Shahbazyan recap show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me, as always, is Jordan Ellis. Jordan, obviously a short event this week compared to last weekend, or the weekend prior, sorry, where we had 15 fights. This main card here only had 4 fights. What were your thoughts on the event as a whole?
I was just saying off air to you, it's a bit of a shit show, and there's no way to go about it. Like start to finish, the last week or two has just been awful because obviously we lost the main event in home against Aldana. Then on weigh-in day we lost Ray Borg and we lost another fight as well. And then on fight night it was just getting worse and worse. It was just one of them things, and it was just everything seemed to go wrong, but they still managed to pull off like a decent card, and there was a few good performances, so there's still a lot to talk about.
For sure. I mean, I think the night before the actual event, overnight, was when Maia had to pull out against his fight with Ed Herman. Obviously, I think he tested positive for coronavirus or whatever happened there. And then, yeah, at the event, I can't remember his name. Trevin Giles, is that right? He fainted in his walkout and couldn't compete. So the main card was kind of small, and like that was meant to be, you know.
Yeah, it was just everything went wrong. Like literally everything that could have went wrong, and he still managed to pull it off. And I can't remember seeing something like that before with Shevin Giles when it's been that close. I know Stefan Struve had a similar thing where he was backstage and didn't end up fighting, but that was literally he stood up to go and walk to the cage and he's fainted. So it was
Weird one.
it's a tough one, but Kevin Holland's so game. He seems ready to turn around within a week's notice. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be fighting soon, and they'll all get paid.
Yeah, I think that's the plan to get him on next week's card. But anyway, the main event, middleweight clash, big prospect, Edmund Shahbazyan, proving if he belongs at the top of the division by versing the veteran, Derek Brunson. Now, in our staff picks, I did notice this. Every single person picked Shahbazyan but me. So, I don't want to say I told you so, but old Derek Brunson, he really did some work. You know, he looked impressive. He looked better than he has looked in his last few fights. And yeah, too much for Shahbazyan. Nothing, no discredit to Shahbazyan though. He's got talent. He'll be back. He'll do better. But on the night, Brunson was the better man.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a huge underdog as well, which is like for me was unjustified because he was a couple of steps up for Shahbazyan, and it was very clear on the night that he just had a bit much. And um, just to give props to Derek Brunson first and foremost, is he looked brilliant. He looked calm, cool. He weren't wading in, he weren't gassing out, he weren't getting caught, and when he did get caught, he was taking the shots well. So, yeah, I just all props to Derek Brunson because he just put the kid in his place. Really, he's 22, he's talking big. Like I spoke to Shahbazyan not too long ago, and he was speaking about being the youngest champion in UFC history, and it's just slowly roll. Calm down, and all the hype was about Shahbazyan and how he's, linked to Rousey and all that stuff. And Brunson got overlooked, and then I think there was a bit of spite in those punches, and he basically put him out at the end of round 2, and then all the shenanigans went on. For Shahbazyan, it's just one of them. Like he's got to go away and work on his things because it was pretty dominant. It was pretty easy for Brunson. So it's gonna he's gonna need to go away and fix a couple of things.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Derek Brunson, he's always been at the top of the division. He's only lost to the best guys. So going into this one, I thought, for me, it was a clear pick, right? Shahbazyan's come in there. He starts for everyone in the first round except for his debut where he had a draw, not draw, sorry. He had a unanimous decision. He hasn't really shown, in my opinion, he hadn't really shown that he was a top contender yet. So putting him against Brunson really was a big test. If he had passed this one, there would be no doubt. But after the first round, where he was very dangerous in that first round, you could tell, like those punches he was landing were hard. So obviously he could have put him out in the first round had he connected. But once he got outside that first round, you could tell he didn't have the energy to go on. Like halfway through the second round, he was gassed. And then obviously what happened at the end of the second round there, he got taken down and smashed with elbows, put out. Like you said, he looked done. But obviously it's so close to the bell. It's not the ref's job to call it at that point. The bell went. The doctor should have called it, if anyone, or his corner. But, I don't think it was like necessarily something that should have been called off. He went out there, he got finished at 26 seconds. That'll happen. He'll come back, and I think there's plenty of fights for him. I mean, what's he ranked? He's probably ranked 12th, 13th now with a loss. You'd probably give him Marvin Vettori's a good fight. Kevin Holland, if you really want to stretch it. What do you think's next for Shahbazyan?
Yeah, there's lots of options. Vittori was the first one off the top of my head. Um, but I'll be honest, that's not really a good fight to be feeding someone, an up and comer, because Vittori is an up and comer himself and he's a bit of a monster. So, not ideal. I think just drop down, because it was a couple of levels of a jump. It was a significant jump to Brunson. He went slowly going through the ranks. So yeah, just drop your levels, and there's stuff to work on. There was obviously a cardio issue on the night, and people kept commenting on how big he looked. So maybe a step up in division. I don't know. He's a big kid, and he's probably still growing at 22. So there's plenty of options for him, and he'll be back. It's just he's not quite there yet, but there's no shame in that at 22.
For sure. And like one thing that I thought about when I saw the main event was 3 rounds, I was like, who's this going to favor? Who's got the better cardio out of the two? Because I mean, Derek Brunson's like always been a great fighter. He's always been like well conditioned, but he's not notoriously known for his cardio or anything. So I thought maybe being a 3-round fight, it would favor favor Brunson. Had it been a 5-rounder, I was edging towards Shahbazyan, probably taking him out in the later rounds. Wasn't the case. Shahbazyan, didn't have the cardio. I don't know what happened there. It could have just been an off night. Hopefully there's an off night, because I want to see him come back and do good things. But for Brunson after this, what do you do with him? Because, I mean, you got Hermanson, you got Till, if you want to send him up. You want to give him another prospect? I don't know if that's fair. He's just fought like a high-risk fight against Shahbazyan. You should really give him someone higher, in my opinion. I don't know where Gaslam's ranked around him. Maybe that's the fight for the two of them. Where do you see him going next?
Yeah, I see Hermanson is probably the fight to make. Hermanson's obviously going to be wanting to aim a bit higher than that, and he's going to want to go for some someone higher up the division. But I think Brunson's the right test. He has just lost to Jared Cannonier, and he got a good win over Gastelum. But in fairness, Gastelum was on a 2-fight losing streak at that point, now 3. So, I think Brunson Hermanson is a really good fight to make. Obviously, Till's out for a while, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, I think it's a really good fight. I think Brunson, that was the best Brunson's looked, in my opinion. I think even when he gets these knockouts, he's always very rash, but he was so cool and calm in there, and he was just looked like the mature ahead, and he looked like he was peaking. He's hitting his prime, and I think for Shahbazyan, he just ran into Brunson on the wrong night. On another night, Brunson, might have got wild and got caught and got slept, but on that night he was just on his game fully, and I think that people overlooking him and thinking Shahbazyan's the next big thing, it kind of drove him on a bit. So Brunson, Hermanson, the winner of that maybe gets the loser of Whittaker Cannonier.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's good too. Obviously, Brunson's talked a lot after the fight. He spoke about he was at a new gym his last few fights. I think he's with Henry Hoof, wherever that gym is, Sanford MMA, I believe. That could be a big factor in what we're seeing, because his last 3 fights he's looked fantastic. He come off that loss to Izzy, he come back and got 3 in a row. Or was Sosa after? No, Izzy was the one. Anyway, for him to look as good as he had, it makes me want to watch him more. I want to see him test against these better guys, because he's still the same Derek Brunson. You saw it in that 3rd round. When he knew that Shahbazyan was injured, he came in throwing his head forward, throwing big punches, because he knew this is when I can put it on him. He's not worried about getting hit in the 3rd round when the guy's already done, which is a good for him, because he knows now he's got an idea of how to pace himself and when to unload. And so, yeah, I'm keen to see him. Hermanson's a good fight, in my opinion. I wish Till was healthy, because I'd like to see that one. I think that's a really big test for Till as well. Well, not really a test, but it will show us if Till belongs at the top of the division, right? Because that's what Brunson is at this point. If you can't beat Brunson, you don't belong at the top of the division. So, anyway, that one was a great fight. Obviously, the co-main event, big upset. I don't know if it's a big upset, betting odds-wise, but obviously, Calderwood was going into this, about to have a title shot. She put it all on the line to try and get, another win under her belt. Didn't go her way. She ended up getting submitted almost at the end of the first round. It was 4 minutes, 29 seconds in by an armbar. Yeah, sad times for Calderwood. I feel really bad for her, because she had the title shot there, took this fight. But Maia looked good, so I don't know. Maybe I'm interested in seeing that Shevchenko as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the fight to make, but I also think, Calderwood, if she can't come through this and she can't get through the first round against Jennifer Maia, it wouldn't have went well against Shevchenko, so it really doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't. It's not like she would have caused a big upset and beat Shevchenko. She really wouldn't have, and obviously that's not, as someone who's rooting for her, obviously that's not good for me to say. But I just think there's such a differential, and I think she knew like that it was a risk. Like as we said before this fight, it was a 50-50 fight, and it's a 50-50 fight because these women are so well matched, and anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So I think Calderwood kind of knew she couldn't just go into a title shot off a split decision win over Andrea Lee. She needed another one. She needed some more momentum, and she needed to like really earn it. And obviously, she weren't able to do that. And Jennifer Maia picked up a great win. So she'll go on and she'll get the shot. And let's see how she does.
That was the thing I said in the preview show. I said that Maia making weight would be the biggest factor in this. And can she make weight? Because if she can't make weight, they're not going to give her a title shot. But she did make weight. And Dana White said she's next for the title shot. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, I'm taking Shevchenko in that one. I don't think anyone in the division really stands up to her in terms of skill level, but we'll see. It's always interesting to have a newcomer like this. Even JoJo is more interested in watching. But I think for Shevchenko, she's got to go up to 35. Fight Nunes. That's the only time that I'm going to see her put in like heavy danger, I can imagine. So that's what I'd like to see. Obviously, Maia's going to take the fight. Maybe after that fight, if Shevchenko gets a win, she'll go up.
Yeah, I just don't think there's... it really doesn't matter who she faces. To be fair, all these women are really good and they can exchange wins and beat each other and lose to each other. But at the end of the day, they're all probably going to get knocked out by Shevchenko. So it's not much changes. So if it's Jennifer Maia, if it's Joanne Calderwood, I think the result's the same no matter who they put in front of her. So, it is about, making that Nunes rematch at some point or, doing something else. And yeah, but for now, these women are going to keep beating each other and earning shots and things like that, and we'll get there.
Okay, well, obviously before that we had Vicente Luque versus Randy Brown. I'll throw that one to you to break down first.
It was pretty predictable. It was Randy Brown was really big. Like, was the first thing I noticed. Is like when someone's that big and I just think he should move up. He's so big, he's so huge. He can definitely fill out and go to middleweight. So that's one thing for Randy. Vicente Luque, it was just levels. It was just levels, and Luque is a couple of levels above Randy Brown. He showed it, and the knockout was so sweet. It was obviously putting your two hands down the mat is just not a good look anyway, and it's such a high risk strategy, and then he just gets kneed and absolutely wiped out. So, but it was going that way anyway. Whatever happened, he was going to lose. Luque was just a cut above him, and and then he called out Nate Diaz afterwards. So that would be a great fight. I don't think it's going to happen, but Luque deserves to be in them big fights because he is a legitimate top 10 contender, and he is a bit easy to hit and things like that. But if he can just tweak his style a little bit, he could probably have a really good run at the title. So always excited to watch him fight. Always excited to see him in fight. So can't wait for his next one.
Yeah, I think Vicente Luque is one of my favourite fighters at welterweight. He's one of the most exciting to watch for sure. And this performance was great. He didn't look too challenged at any point in this fight. And yeah, that finish was... when I first saw it, I was like, his hands were down. But then, like in the replay, I caught it, and his hands weren't down. He was still up, and beautiful knee, put him out. There was no comeback from that one. Exciting fighter. I want to see what he does next. I don't think it's Diaz. I'm not interested in seeing him fight Diaz just because I think he wipes the floor with Diaz regardless. So obviously, I want him to get the payday. So if that's possible, do it. But can't see it happening. What do you do with Luque? Honestly, wouldn't be able to tell you. Any ideas?
Let me get the rankings up. I think he's probably top 10 after this. So there's so many. But he did lose really convincingly to Wonderboy like not long ago. So it is one of them where how far do you want to push him, because Wonderboy isn't at the tip top of his game anymore.
Where's RDA ranked?
Yeah, 9. So you've got Luque. You could give him Lawler. Lawler's been out for a while. He needs a fight. I think he'd be quite happy taking that one as well, Luque, because it is a big name. And Maia needs a fight. Kiesa, I don't think Kiesa would take that. There's a few fights. Maybe the winner of Jeff Neal against Neil Magny, which is coming up soon.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool fight. So there is fights, but I think that's the level he's going to be at. I don't think he's going to be challenging anyone in the top 5. I think he does need another big win before we can start looking at that type of stuff.
Wasn't RDA saying that he was going to cut down to 55 or take 170 fights? So maybe that's a good matchup for him, right?
Yeah, I think at number 9 he is. So that would be a good fight, but I think RDA is more speaking about 155, if he gets a full camp, if not, he'll just fight 170.
Mm.
So if Luque wants a quick turnaround, I'm sure he'd be interested in that, and then he could do RDA, but that's a tough fight as well. Yeah, so anyone around them, anyone from about 9 to 15, I think he'd be interested in fighting at the minute.
Is Ponzinibbio out of the rankings at this point?
Yeah, he's out of it,
Okay.
and Anthony Pettis is in it, so that's a cool fight as well.
Yeah.
I think these are the type of fight he'd be interested in, where he can go to war with someone and not worry about someone trying to take him down.
Mm.
And it's names, it's former champions in Pettis and Lawler and Diaz are all ranked below him, so he can still get a really good fight and not necessarily move up the rankings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty for him there. So we'll jump down to the fight before it, which was Lando Vannata versus Bobby Green. Great fight. Obviously, fight of the night. Both guys are pretty durable. Both guys like to throw hands. Clear to me, Bobby Green won that fight. Like, he clearly dominated everything. In that third round, I think it was, he looked like he almost put him out. Or it might have been the second. I can't remember. But anyway, close. Not really close fight, sorry. Entertaining fight. What did you think of it?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm a Lando Vannata fan. He's one of my favorite fighters. Who isn't from the UK or I don't have any affiliation to, just because he's in fun fights. But in his last fight against Yancy Medeiros, I thought he turned it around. I thought he changed his style. He took no damage. He was slick. He was in and out. And about 30 seconds into this fight, I realised, oh no, he hasn't changed. He's the same old Lando Vannata. This is going to be a war, and he's probably going to lose because Bobby Green was clearly the more powerful striker, and he was clearly it was just a really cool fight, taking all that stuff away. I'm just a bit disappointed in Vannata because he's 28, and I was hoping that he turned over a new leaf and he was going to be a contender. But Bobby Green, took it all in stride. He kept landing big blows, and he was clearly the winner. I thought 30-26 was a bit harsh, but besides that, not much to say. It was a really great fight. It just carried on from where it left off, really.
Mm.
And Bobby Green got a huge win because that is a big win.
Yeah, and Bobby Green looked good doing it. But my thing is, I don't know how Bobby Green stacks up with the rest of the people at lightweight, like the ranked guys. He didn't show to me that he was getting hit, he was getting tagged as well. So I don't know how. I thought Vannata hit pretty hard, but clearly not the hardest hitter in the division. What happens when you give him a guy that he can't get hit by? A guy's going to move his head more, So I don't know what you do with either of these guys, especially Vannata. What's that, 2-fight losing streak, or did he win that last one before this
He
one?
won his last one,
Okay.
but and he looked really good. But his form's patchy. I'm sure he's got like 2 draws, 2 losses, 2 wins. It's he's at that point where he needs to change his style, mix it up, and put a run of wins together because he's capable of winning these fights. He just needs to. He just loves the war, and if
Yeah.
that's what he wants to do, be in wars and pick up 50k bonuses, all the best to him. But as someone who's watches all these fights, I can clearly see talent, and it's frustrating for me to see how talented he is and to not use it. And about 30 seconds in, I was like, oh, he's obviously he's just gonna go to war, and it's just in his DNA. So and that's what we love about fighters. But it's as a fan, it's frustrating because I think he could have won that fight if he was smart about it, but obviously he weren't, and Bobby Green picked up a great win.
So what do you want to do with Bobby Green after this? Who do you give him?
I don't know if you give him a rank guy. Yeah, Mark DeCasey, who's just lost
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think somewhere around just below the rankings, just someone just outside rankings, and then after that, I would give him someone ranked.
So not Alexander Hernandez or nothing like that?
I don't even think Alexander Hernandez is ranked, is he? So yeah, someone
He
like
might have
that you
dropped
could
out,
do.
yeah.
I think he did when he lost to Dober. So yeah, someone like that, someone just fringe top 15, I'd be happy with. There's quite a few guys, and he's on a little streak now. I think he beat Clay Guida, and then he's beat Vannata, so they're 2 good wins. One more, then a ranked guy.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any fights in the prelims you want to speak about particularly?
Well, the one that topped the prelims was a pretty crazy fight because it was just basically Jonathan Martinez beating the brakes off Frankie Sands for
Yeah.
for Frankie Sands is one of the toughest guy ever. Like, I was just watching him, and I kept thinking he was out. I was like, "What? He's out!" And then he just popped back up, and then he starts scrapping. And that's one of the things where you can't have a go at the referee, because even if what Frankie was taking a lot of punishment, but he can't. Every time he said move, he moved. Every time he needed to do something, he did something, and then in the end he got him. But it was just a brilliant display of toughness from Frankie, and then obviously Martinez got a big win. But yeah, But that was just the only one I want to shout out. And then obviously we had the draw as well, which was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, the draw between that was the first card of the fight of the card. Yeah, that was Gutierrez versus Durden, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly how I scored it. It was a draw, but I feel bad for Chris Gutierrez even scoring that way because he was really impressive. Like he
Mm.
clearly dominated the 2 rounds. But when you let someone just control you like that for 5 full minutes, what do you expect the judges to do? So that's one of them where I'm sure Chris might feel a bit, pissed off about it. But I think the judges got it right. So we're quick to say when they get it wrong, but I think they got it right on that occasion.
You almost could have given me a 10-8 for that last round, though.
Mm. Yeah, it's weird with these 10-8. It's more clear when someone's literally on top of you, punching
Yeah,
in your face, even though it weren't damaging strikes. He was constantly tapping them for 5 full minutes, and Gutierrez was unable to do anything. So, if that's not a 10-8, I don't know what it is. Whereas, when it's on the feet and Durden is doing a bit back, it's harder to differentiate.
yeah, I agree. Outside of that, that's about it for the card. We'll jump on to some news. I've got a few things here. Firstly, Robert Whittaker booked against Jared Cannonier at UFC 254. Joins the lineup, which already had Khabib versus Gaethje, and there's a heavyweight match I went there I'm blanking on. But great fight. Obviously, this is one we all thought was going to happen. I'm pretty sure no one really thought. I didn't personally think they were going to go Hermansson's way. I thought it was going to be Cannonier, as long as he's healthy. And it seems he is. That's the fight to make. The winner of that surely gets the next title shot after Costa. I think that's why it's the month after. They're trying to set that one up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. It's a really big test for Cannonier. I think it is quite a big step up. He's only had 3 fights at the weight, and Brunson, Anderson Silva, like in all due respect to them, they're not top guys, and Hermansson's the only top guy on his record. So it's a big step up. I think Whittaker, he looked brilliant against Till. I think he looked revitalized. He looked ready for another run. So I'm fully expecting Whittaker to take Cannonier out and kind of scream for that title shot, because he's gonna have to make some noise. He's gonna have to do something big to earn it, because he was so dominant. But I think he's right there. I think he will do that as well. I think he's gonna make a big statement. Maybe get a knockout of the night or performance of the night, and it'll be him against Izzy Costa. Probably starts next year.
Yeah, sounds about right. And when I spoke to him earlier in the last week, he was saying that the biggest factor in that Izzy fight, that for him anyway, was his mental. He reckons he wasn't all there. He wasn't mentally prepared for that fight. And in a rematch, he thinks he will be mentally prepared and he'll be able to go out there and make it look completely different. And to his credit, in that fight, he didn't look terrible in that first round. He got caught right at the end of the first round, and he got caught in second and put out. But he didn't look terrible, And if that's him 50% there, it's a well more interesting fight when he's fully there and committed.
Yeah, and you've got to kind of give him the benefit of doubt with these type of things, because he is such a talented fighter. He's one of the best fighters in middleweight history. He's been in so many wars, and if he's saying he went there and then he took some time off afterwards and he's come back looking so good against Darren Till, I'm all on board with Whittaker. Getting another title shot once he beats Cannonier. I'm all for it, even though it went a few months back. I think if he can come and show something different, which he did against Till. He showed everything he needed against Till, because he did get cracked in that first round. He got nailed with an elbow. He fought on. He went 5 rounds with a really technical striker and won. So it was impressive. And another win over Cannonier. He's right there. Yeah, I'll go for him again.
All right. Next thing I have is obviously we got confirmation, because I don't think it was confirmed previously. I think it was just what people were talking about. Sean O'Malley versus Cheeto Vera has been moved to the co-main event slot in the pay-per-view of this month, August 15th. Big for both guys, especially being co-main event, big platform for both of them. If Sean O'Malley can get it done here, the limit on his career just blows off. He can have whoever he wants. If he gets it done in style, like he's been doing, big knockout in the co-main event slot in this pay-per-view, I would not be surprised if they give him a top 5 guy next. And if Vera can pull the upset, that's really good. Big things for him coming, What do you think?
Yeah, obviously, I like Sean O'Malley. I like what he's doing, but co-main event, he's not Vera's not even ranked, which I'm really not a fan of. When you've got former heavyweight champion Junior Santos fighting Rosenstrike on the same card, I don't love it, but I'm pretty. I'm excited to see the fight. It's definitely not that I'm not excited. It's just obviously I don't like the placement. But we do say there's a lot where I don't like the way the UFC works out their cards. But in fairness, this isn't the most stacked card anyway. I don't even think it's a full card yet. So, it's just props to Sean O'Malley because he is a star. He's a clear star and he's going to be a star. It's his biggest test to date, which I'm excited to see. So maybe it should be co-main events. It seems a little bit disrespectful, but it doesn't mean I don't want to see this fight. A lot.
Obviously, they're trying to build O'Malley. They're trying to put him on a platform that if he wins, he'll be up there. Like, he'll be the next big thing that McGregor was, right? But obviously, I think he could have headlined a pay-per-view. That fight between him and Vera, because of how he's established himself and how popular O'Malley is, I think that could have headlined a fight night, not a pay-per-view. I think it could have headlined its own fight night. So for them to do it as a co-main isn't so far-fetched to me. And I'll tell you what, I think they bump Kazmat Chimaev if he can make the card. I bet he's on the main card too. I don't see him being a prelim fight there. So take with that what you will. Star-building night for both those fighters if they can get it done. Obviously, we'll talk about just a little the trilogy fight there, DC versus Stipe. I think DC said his plans to wrestle. It's in the smaller cage, which favours wrestlers. So, interesting to see what happens to the third one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's the way to go for DC. I think he's on the edge of his. He's ready to retire now. He doesn't need to be getting in wars. He's not as impressive as he is with his hands. He's not a striker, and Stipe is. And I think that's the way to go for him. It's not going to be fun. I think he will dominate the fight. He'll grind it out. And I think in his mind, he let the second fight get away from him because he did. He beat the brakes off Stipe for a lot of that fight. So I fully expect him to come out and leave no doubt. He's a winner. He wants to win. It doesn't really matter if it's knockout or 5-round, humping session. It doesn't really matter because that's what he's going to try and do. But I'm really excited, but I just think we might get a snooze fest in the end.
Yeah, well, it's heavyweight though, so one punch could change it all. But we'll finish it on a really exciting fight. Obviously, August 29th, main event. Zabit Magomedasharipov versus Yair Rodriguez. Awesome fight. Both guys really entertaining fighters to watch. Rodriguez, such a great striker. Zabit's such a good striker as well. Different styles of striking. Zabit has those cool takedowns he does where he hooks your leg and trips you. He's got all these cool things on the ground, the Suvian stretch or whatever, So it will be a great fight. I'm probably going to take Zabit in this one early. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I hope it's 5 rounds because this is what we want to see. We want to see Zabit in 5-round fights because he does seem to dwindle in the 3rd round. So very interested to see if he does go 5 rounds. I fancy Yair just because if it does go 5 rounds, we've seen he can pull stuff off in the 5th round. Obviously, he knocked out Korean Zombie. So I think if he can drag it late, that'd favour him. But then Zabit has got so many weapons that he just does seem a bit of a nightmare for Yair. It's one of the best fights of the year. It's one of the best fights you can make full stop. It's just such a great style matchup. Both fighters are so, I've got so much flair and finally it's been years in the making this fight as well, I think. So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying about we haven't seen Zabit's gas tank challenge really because he hasn't gone out that 3rd round. But obviously he looked like he was fading in the fight against who did he fight? Jeremy Stevens, right? But then you look at Yair Rodriguez's fight with Jeremy Stevens, and he looked like he faded as well. In 3rd round. So maybe that's just Steven being really good in the 3rd round. Who knows? Exciting fight. Keen to see it.
Yeah, I think Zabit looked like he's faded in a lot of his fights. I think Qatari faded against. What was the one he had he had a proper war?
Karl Bochniak.
Yeah, Bochniak, he faded. Bochniak, obviously, all respect to him, but he's been proven since to not be. I think he's been cut since, so you know what I mean. He's not that good, and he was putting it on Zabit in the end. So there obviously is a cardio issue. He's so big. How much weight is he cutting? How much of a struggle is it to make that weight? This is a real test. Real test over 5 rounds. And yeah, it's a really exciting one for us fans. I'm sure whatever happens, it'll be fun.
Just in closing, title shot for the winner?
Don't know. Maybe if it's Zabit, I think Zabit's pretty much there. I think beating Calvin Qatar and then beating Yair, I'm not sure. I'm not sure Yair is there yet. But then who else? Korean Zombie is right there, but then Yair's yeah, probably a title shot. It is 145 is really exciting. To be fair, it's there's so many contenders, and then you've got all the contenders, and then you've got Holloway and Cejudo kind of sitting on the sidelines, who might just get a shot anyway. So there's so much going on. Anyone could get that shot. Yeah, but probably the winner of this, but it really could be anyone.
Yeah, I'd say it's the winner of this, especially if Ortega beats Zombie. I think obviously they're not going to give Ortega a title shot next. I guarantee you. He hasn't fought in so long, and he lost to Max. I guarantee you that they'll do anything they can not to give Ortega a title shot. So it'll be the winner of this one, in my opinion. With that, I think that's pretty much everything. Anything else before we wrap this up?
No, just weird card this weekend, but they still keep putting them out. Weird, like 15 fights one week, 8 the next, and it's the wonderful word of the UFC at the minute. But we're lucky to have it because a lot of sports are only just getting back right now, so we're doing all right.
All right, well, we'll speak to you later in the week to preview that card, which is UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Olenek. Thanks for watching.